As Missouri opens a new phase for COVID vaccinations, we check out the availability of doses.
Washington, D.C. on high alert. I'm Natalie Brand with the new security measures in place less than 48 hours to Inauguration Day.
And how a 5-year-old child is helping to promote diversity and understanding on this Martin Luther King Day.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Missouri opens up the next phase of the state coronavirus vaccination plan. This is KOAM News at 5. The state has started Phase 1B Tier 2, which opens up availability to residents 65 and older and people with certain underlying health conditions. Mercy Hospital in Joplin just started vaccinating residents in the category today. The McDonald County Health Department is doing the same, but they're the only 2 healthcare providers in our area that we've talked to that currently have vaccines for this phase. And officials at Freeman say it's not for lack of trying.
It is not a automatic that you get it. It's truly, we order it every week, just like everybody else is ordering it. And sometimes we get it and sometimes we don't.
We're going to hear more from officials at both hospitals tonight at 6. The Jasper County Health Department reports 3 new coronavirus-related deaths. Officials say the patients were all women, 2 in their 80s, 1 in her 60s. These deaths bring the county's total to 113. You can get updated COVID statistics from other communities all around the 4 states by clicking on the link at koamnewsnow.com. Let's check in with Doug Heddy now for our first look at the weather. Hi, Doug.
Hey, Dow. It turned out to be a cloudy day for us today, but in general, not too bad of a day. Temperatures at least warmer than what we saw over the past couple days, as we did get up into the 50s during the afternoon. Have had a lot of clouds and a few random little showers, mainly off to our east and to our south, but most of the rain is going to kind of rotate around us as it continues across central Missouri and then down through Arkansas and parts of Oklahoma. I don't really think we're going to get much in the way of rain from this system, but we are going to have the clouds throughout the overnight hours tonight. Also, our winds are switching around now to the northwest behind this weak little front, so this will cool us down just a bit as we head into Tuesday afternoon. But most of the evening looks okay, just a lot of clouds across the region. We'll drop back through the 40s and 30s. We'll look at our next chance for rain here in just a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Doug. Security is incredibly tight throughout Washington 2 days before President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. A false alarm over a fire near the Capitol triggered a brief lockdown this morning as tensions remain high. Reporter Natalie Brand has more on preparations for Wednesday's events from Washington.
The Capitol complex went on temporary lockdown and an inauguration rehearsal was evacuated. It turned out to be a small fire under a nearby highway, but the scare illustrates the heightened state of security in Washington, D.C. Law enforcement and National Guard troops from states across the country are still arriving at the nation's capital ahead of Wednesday's inauguration. President-elect Joe Biden will take the oath of office outside on the West Front, despite the continued security threats in the wake of this month's attack on the Capitol. But access to the public is limited between the security concerns and the pandemic. Even the 20,000 plus troops that have come here to help stand guard must undergo screening. The National Guard says if there's any indication of extremist views, it would be handed over to law enforcement or handled within the chain of command. More than 20 current or former members of the U.S. military or law enforcement have been identified as being at or near the riot on January 6th. Jim McDonnell is the former L.A. County Sheriff.
This is a very, very important day in American history, and we all have an obligation to ensure that it is as safe as possible for everybody, not only in D.C., but across the United States as well.
Less than 48 hours before he's set to be sworn in, President-elect Biden visited a food bank in Philadelphia in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, packing boxes on this day of service. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
A federal law enforcement official confirms to CBS News the FBI is looking at foreign and domestic funding of the attack. Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny is in jail today. Russian police last night arrested Navalny upon his return to Russia nearly 5 months after surviving an assassination attempt. He was returning from Germany, where he spent months recovering from poisoning last summer. A Russian judge today ordered Navalny jailed for 30 days. President-elect Joe Biden's incoming national security advisor has joined top European diplomats in condemning Navalny's detention and calling for his immediate release. Aid is reaching the thousands of people left homeless and struggling after an earthquake that killed at least 84 people on an Indonesian island. Rescuers also intensified their work today to find those buried in the rubble from Friday's 6.2 magnitude quake. Just ahead on KOAM News at 5, something you might have could help save a COVID patient.
I'm Elise Preston with a look at the dire shortage for a COVID-19 treatment and how you can help.
And later, the partnership between a local grocery store and nonprofit organization helping to deliver groceries during this pandemic. As cases of COVID-19 surge, a lot of hospitals all across the country are at a breaking point. Now, the American Red Cross says one treatment that could help the sickest patients is in short supply: convalescent plasma. Reporter Elise Preston has more on the critical shortage of a potentially life-saving therapy.
Georgia urgent care nurse Amanda Solt has worked tirelessly through the pandemic. This past summer, the frontline hero became a patient battling the coronavirus.
I've heard patients talk about it, but I never experienced it till that moment. You have a very overwhelming sense of doom.
Struggling to breathe, Amanda was hospitalized and declining fast. She says she doesn't remember much, but this snapshot taken by her nurse.
She says, we're going to take a selfie because we're going to remember this moment because this moment's going to save your life. And it did.
Amanda received convalescent plasma from a person who recovered from COVID. The antibodies from the plasma can help boost a patient's immune system.
This is a disease that has still very few therapeutics. We're seeing very new studies come out that suggest that the earlier you give it, the better it is.
Dr. Pompey Young with the American Red Cross says as cases surge nationwide, there's now a dire shortage of convalescent plasma.
We just simply can't keep up. So we need as many of our recovered COVID-19 patients as possible to roll up their sleeves and come in and donate.
That's what Amanda is doing. She's back to work, recently donated plasma, and is telling her patients to do the same.
The person who donated that plasma and then the nurses, can you put into words what they mean to you?
How do you say thank you to that? I could never, ever tell them thank you enough for giving me a second chance on life.
The grandmother is grateful she's alive and able to help someone else in need. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Some fully recovered COVID patients can give plasma every 7 days as long as they still have antibodies. If you don't have COVID-19 antibodies, then you can still help. The American Red Cross says the need for blood and platelet donations is constant, especially during this pandemic. New CDC vaccination guidelines are drawing criticism for prioritizing smokers over teachers and other critical workers. Smokers under the age of 65 are in Group 1C. It's for people ages 65 to 74, younger adults with pre-existing conditions, and essential workers. Phase 2 is when grade school educators, critical workers in high-risk environments, and homeless shelter clients and staff can receive doses. States can choose to rework the phases. A new study in the journal Health Systems finds British college students who went home for the holidays may have led to more than 9,000 new infections of COVID-19 across the UK. On average, researchers estimate an infected student passes the illness on to just one other household member. Having a poor diet rather than less physical activity may best explain the childhood obesity crisis. That's according to researchers at Baylor University, who found South American children who consumed higher calorie processed foods averaged 65% more body fat than their rural counterparts who ate more naturally. A report published in the journal Heart Rhythm examines hospitals hit hard by the coronavirus in New York City. In neighborhoods overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases, researchers found sudden deaths outside the hospital from conditions like cardiac arrest also increased. Experts say it's unclear if those deaths were related to the virus or limited access to care during the surge. Doug Heddy is up next with his complete forecast. And later on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a kindergarten student gives away books promoting diversity and unity.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty decent Monday for us today, as we did go into the 50s for highs, so quite a bit warmer than what we saw over the weekend. And we did have a lot of clouds all day long, but still not that bad. 50 right now, southwesterly winds at about 5 to 10. Humidity is at 43%. And you can see most of us upper 40s to lower 50s. Miami at 50, 49 in Pittsburgh. Neosho is sitting at about 51. And everybody warmer than what we saw, at least over the past couple days. And you can see Iola sitting at 49, 53, and Nowata, Stockton is at 49 degrees. Southerly winds through most of the morning, and then we've had a weak little front that has been slipping through. So you can see our northwestern counties, the winds are kind of switching to the west and eventually to the northwest, and that's going to cool us back down just a bit as we go through the overnight hours tonight. We'll drop back through the 40s, 30s during the evening hours. Still a lot of clouds most of the night, and then we'll see at least some sunshine as we work into the daytime hours tomorrow. With this system, we are seeing a few showers, mainly across central Missouri, and then a few showers in our southern counties, but most of this is not even reaching the ground. So we're going to continue with the clouds tonight, but I think we'll ultimately stay dry as this weak little system continues to pass on by. But we do get the northerly winds behind it, so this is going to cool us back down just a bit as we work through the next couple days. Out to the west, not a whole bunch going on until we get a couple developing storm systems out across the western parts of the Rockies and then all the way down through southern parts of California. And eventually this will eject out and at least give us slight chances for rain as we work through the middle of the work week. Tonight looks okay. We're going to have a lot of clouds, kind of cold. We'll drop back into the upper 20s, so if you are getting up early, it's going to be cold, 29 to start, northwesterly winds at about 5 to 10. We're going to warm through the 20s, 30s, 41 by noon, and then not as warm tomorrow compared to what we saw today. A high temp right around 46. It's going to be a little breezy. We're going to have those northerly winds at about 10 to 15 during the afternoon hours. That next storm system, we get one little chunk that shoots out late Wednesday into Thursday. We're definitely going to get some clouds, but most of the rain is going to stay to our south, so I'll put in just a very slight chance for rain. As we work into the weekend, I think most of Saturday is going to be dry, but we could get a few showers in here late Saturday, Saturday night, and then into Sunday as one storm system passes by, and then again we'll have rain chances increase again by the time we head into Monday. So it does start to pick up just a little bit late this week into next week. So if we look at next week, we'll start out warm on Sunday and Monday, and then we're going to turn quite a bit cooler Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we are going to have at least chances. We'll have two systems, chances that we could get some wintry weather into the area. Tonight, just cloudy, 46 for us tomorrow, back to 56 by Wednesday. That slight chance for a random shower late Wednesday into Thursday, but most of this week is going to be dry. 55 on Thursday, 45 on Friday, and then rain chances increase for the weekend.
And some highs in the 50s. That's not too bad.
Yeah, pretty good for late January.
You bet. Thanks, Doug. Just ahead, how a kindergarten student is helping to promote awareness of diversity. First, though, we recognize a veteran who served in World War II, the Korean War, and in Vietnam. Grove Oak Loma native Audrey Hare saw action in the U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force. Hare was part of a bomber unit who earned a Distinguished Flying Cross and multiple air medals. Lieutenant Colonel Audrey Hare, a four-state hero. Nonprofit group is working to help Southeast Kansans get their groceries safely during this pandemic. Live Well Crawford County is part of an effort promoting curbside and delivery options for groceries in the county. The group has also received a grant from the Kansas Leadership Center to cover the cost of grocery deliveries to 300 shoppers.
And so just by getting your groceries without going in a store, we think that the spread of COVID could actually be slowed locally.
Ron's Supermarket in Pittsburgh is one of the participating partners. It's seen a big increase in the number of people ordering online and says that could be the future of grocery shopping. Some companies are requiring their employees to get the coronavirus vaccine before returning to work. U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission says companies can legally mandate vaccinations with a few exceptions for religious or medical reasons, although most are only encouraging them and some are offering financial incentives. A LinkedIn survey found 46% of U.S. employees agree with companies mandating vaccines. Tax season starting a little later this year. The Internal Revenue Service will begin accepting tax returns starting February 12th, later than the usual start date of late January. The delay allows the IRS to test its systems after Congress passed a second round of stimulus payments in late December. Some Americans who missed the two payments last year will be able to claim them through their tax filing. Kids' screen time has skyrocketed during the pandemic. 70% of children now spend at least 4 hours a day with screens. That's up from 3 hours before the pandemic, according to the data company Morning Consult. And for kids aged 3 through 9, screen time has increased even more, according to tech firm Super Awesome. Addiction experts say that digital dependency could lead to a later withdrawal period when life returns to normal. On this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the nation takes a pause, with many Americans using the holiday as a day of remembrance and a day of service. But a kindergartner in Indianapolis is already well ahead in making a difference. Naomi Ruckham has her story.
This is the birth of the king of kindergarten.
At just 5 years old, Amor Coleman is a little girl with big ideas.
Hi, I'm Amor. Welcome to the book drive.
Amor goes to kindergarten in Indianapolis, where she noticed the books she reads in class rarely include characters that look like her, so she decided to fix that.
We're collecting books to show the Black History Month from my friends at my school.
With help from her mother, she launched a book drive to collect stories about people of different races and ethnic backgrounds, one for each student in her grade.
Here is a page of the book.
Previewing the options on Instagram.
It makes me feel that we can give books out to other people so they can learn about our history too.
She put her wish list on Amazon and the books came pouring in. Instead of a few dozen, several hundred have already been donated. Amor's mother hopes it's been a meaningful experience for her daughter.
I hope that she feels empowered and proud and feel like that she, even at the age of 5, can make an impact at her school and the community.
Teaching us all a lesson about the ABCs of activism.
Don't tease people if you're black and if they're white.
And why we're never too young to make a difference. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Wow, good for her. Amor's mother says they plan to use the extra books they're receiving to sponsor other schools and community centers in their area. Final check of the forecast is next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, as the state of Missouri moves to the next step in their coronavirus vaccine rollout plan, we're going to hear from some area vaccine providers on their supply or lack of it. Also, authorities arrest a Lamar, Missouri murder suspect in Oklahoma. And restoration work begins on a nearly 50-year-old praying hands monument in Webb City. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Hey, that jackpot, it continues to grow after another round without a winner. Tomorrow's Mega Millions drawing, it's estimated to be $850 million. That's the third largest of all time. Wednesday's Powerball, that's going to be $730 million. That would be the fifth largest. Neither has been this big since at least 2019 when a Wisconsin man won a $768 million Powerball. A few $100 million one way or the other. It's still pretty good. Doug Heddy, the weather, how's it looking?
It looks pretty good. It's going to be cold tonight. We're still going to have a lot of clouds across the region. A little cooler tomorrow, but not bad. We'll have partly sunny skies, 46 for a high, up to 56 on Wednesday. There is a very slight chance we could get a random shower late Wednesday into Thursday morning. But really, most of the work week is going to be dry and really temperatures not that bad.
Sounds nice. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you at 6. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.